What's going on, everyone? Eric here. Hope you're all doing good today. In this video, we're going to be comparing two Hario V60 brewers. This is the Suiren, and this one right here, is the Neo. So these are two of their brewers that have come out. This one came out this year, and this one came out last year. They are both plastic Hario V60 brewers that will act a bit different than your traditional V60. Now, in the last video, I compared the Neo to the traditional ceramic Hario V60, and in this one, just on a viewer's request, I'm going to compare the Suiren to the Neo. Now, the Neo is a standout brewer because it has a bunch of little ribs here. I think 72 little ribs all around here, increasing the contact with the paper, therefore giving you more water bypass. Should be a faster brewer, leading to less choked filter experience, right? So it's supposed to give you a faster brew, more or less. Now, the Suiren, on the other hand, has very, very little contact with the paper compared to other V60 models out there. So this should be, in theory, the slowest of the V60s. So I'm gonna brew a 15-gram dose of coffee on both of these. I'm going to brew them in the same grind setting, which will be a number 4 on the fellow ode here. I'm going to be using the same coffee, and I'm going to try to match the timing of my pours more or less the same way. So let's get into it. So one thing I will tell you about the Neo here is because it has so much contact with the filter, the traditional Hario V60 filters from Hario have a very, very big seam on the end. And to get this to be flush on the wall, you have to do a pretty aggressive fold. Now, that's not something that I exactly love. I even have met a friend who trims the fold down right to the edge of the seam. You can buy different brands of filters out there that have no seams and will do a more uniform job. You know, at the end of the day, I don't know if it makes that big a difference, but I do want to put it out there. So a nice thing about the Suiren, however, is that you don't have to worry too much about that seam because there's just like a lot of wide open space here. The seam's not going to really get in the way. So these are both very plasticky brewers. So really, there's not much to worry about actually heating up the cone. You're not going to get like heat getting sapped out of the coffee like you would with the ceramic Hario V60. Today's coffee is from Paradise Coffee Roasters in Hawaii, the Big Island. Now this is an awesome roaster. They are really pushing Hawaiian coffee into the specialty coffee industry for the coffee nerd side of things. Like, I went to Hawaii, I made a video about it. You can watch that if you want to hear my opinions on that. Anyway, excellent roaster, Paradise Coffee Roasters. And this is a light roast. This is a wash process coffee from Kona. I don't have the varietal on here because I believe it is a blend, but you're going to be tasting tropical fruit, strawberry, papaya, pineapple, those kind of things. That is the hope, right? And I remember tasting this coffee when I was in Hawaii, and man, it is a funky treat. So we're going to be doing 15 grams in each, and doing a 1:17 ratio for the brew. So what I'm going to do is start the bloom on the Suiren first, give it a 30-second head start, and then start the bloom on this one. And I'm going to give them about a minute bloom time, which is long, but I do prefer personally a very long bloom. Doing 50 grams for the bloom. I'm going to give it 30 seconds. This is riveting TV right here. I'm trying to keep my pour kind of centered towards the middle here. All right, at 147, I'm hitting this guy up here with another 100 grams, bringing it up to 250. All right, we're going to hit it now at 143. Bring it up to 250. So the Suiren has a 30-second head start, like I said. Suiren is hitting the end of its brew cycle at 250. 253-ish. I'm calling it at 255. And the Neo is hitting the end of their brew cycle at, calling it 243. Okay, so it is just about 10 seconds faster. I'm going to let this cool now. Then we're going to taste them side by side and see if I notice any differences. And yeah, just like the traditional Hario, there is a slight time difference. That is about this 10-12 second time difference between the Suiren and the Neo. Neo is definitely a faster brewer, no question about that, as advertised. Suiren, pretty close to the time on as the ceramic Hario goes, but you know, a little tiny bit slower because there's less contact with the filter paper on the walls, so it should brew a little bit slower because the walls of the brewer are not making the water seep as much. While these cool, let's do this video's forced coffee pun. So I want to know what your favorite brew method is. Is it a pour over? Is it espresso? Is it French press? Is it AeroPress? Is it a percolator? There's no reason at all for you to filter your answer. Just leave your comment down below. That was this video's forced coffee pun. Thank you for watching. So for you slurp sensitive viewers, I will lower the volume on my slurps so that they won't trigger you. And yeah. So before I taste these, I do want to say that if you'd like to see me compare other brewers, just let me know and I will try to make a video like this if I can. I will also say that no matter which brewer you buy, it is probably the least important part of your coffee experience. You want to prioritize good coffee from a reputable roaster that has the flavor profile that you're looking for. You want to use good water, filtered water at least. You know, if you want to get into the chemistry of water, that's a whole nother thing to dive into, but you want to at least use good, clean, filtered water. You want to be using a good grinder. You don't want to skimp on that. And if you're doing for filter, this is a good option here, the fellow Ode. Let's taste. All right, so here is the Neo. Stir, stir, stir. Here's the Suiren. Stir, stir, stir. And let's see if this dumb palate can taste a difference. So first impression, I'll let it cool a little bit more. Extremely dry mouthfeel, strawberry-like sweetness and strawberry-like acidity. Aftertaste is starting to hit some of those tropical notes, the lingering aftertaste. But yeah, it's still a little hot. I'll give it a little time to cool down. Let's see how it stacks up. The Neo stacks up against the Suiren now. All right, so the Suiren is less dry, a little sweeter, a little bit more tropical in flavor. So far, comparing these two, somehow the Neo has a much drier mouthfeel and the Suiren has a much silkier mouthfeel. The Neo has much more subtle strawberry-like acidity and strawberry-like sweetness. This is a little bit more like a tropical fruit-like sweetness to it that I can't pinpoint yet. Here's where I'm coming down on this. Hey, this is really boring, guys. They are extremely close, and this has a little bit drier of a mouthfeel, which could be, there is always a chance that there was a bean in there, a defect bean, that could give it a much drier mouthfeel. That happens sometimes, but I did grind the two batches together and mix it up, so it should be pretty uniform across the two. This guy right here is a little less dry, a little sweeter, a little bit more tropical. This guy here is a little bit more subtle. So, and this, surprisingly to me, in this brew test, I actually prefer the Suiren, which is a brewer I haven't used much besides when I was testing it out to make a video about it. They're both good. They both, as they cool, especially that tropical flavor that the bag is hoping that the taster tastes. is starting to come through more and more, but I just think that this one's mouthfeel a little too dry. But anyway, yeah, strawberry is definitely the strongest flavor. This one's punchier. I'm getting more. This one's definitely a little bit punchier. The faster brew did not suit this particular bean. All right, so it ended up being a less exciting conclusion than I was hoping for. The verdict is that they're both good. Brewer using the same filter, paper, so basically the same brewer. The Suiren is slower than the Neo. But for this fruity, punchy coffee, the Suiren highlighted it more, ever so slightly, while the Neo gave me a much more subtle tea-like brew. Now, I guess that's the answer. Do you need, if you're into fruity coffees, if you're into naturals, if you're into something that's a blend that like this one is called Tropical Punch, if that is what your jam is, no pun intended, jam. If that is what your jam is, then the Suiren really did highlight that fruity, punchy flavor more so than the Neo. The Neo's a little bit faster, gives you a little bit more tea-like brew. Both perfectly fine brewers. Both of these coffees are excellent. The beans really make the brew. Yeah, that's it. I mean, boring conclusion, but the Neo is faster and the Suiren is slower. They both did a good job brewing the coffee. For this particular bean, I do like the Suiren better. All right. All right, y'all, that's it for today. I hope to see you all in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.